Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my channel, our channel. My name's Christiana Davidson, and I'm a specialist hypnotherapist, psychotherapist in the area of narcissistic abuse in the family system in particular. And if it's your first time here, you are so welcome. Please leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe if it is your first time, and welcome back for all of those who've been here before. The topic for today is all about the role of scapegoat and being the scapegoat in the family system. And we're going to look at what it's like to be in this scapegoat role in quite a little bit of depth here, to connect with some of the feelings that the scapegoat suppresses, and then also to perhaps explore how this has an impact in adult life, and then what is required in order to heal. Now, the title that I've given this today is The Scapegoat, Beggar's Belief. And I mean that beggar's belief in two ways. I don't know if you've heard the phrase, oh, it beggars belief. It's, gosh, that's unbelievable. And the role of scapegoat within a family is, to be honest, it's unbelievable that one person in a family is treated as a scapegoat. That beggars belief, and the extent to which they are scapegoated often is just, it's unfathomable. I also mean it in the terms of the scapegoat takes on the belief that they are a beggar, that they have a beggar's belief about themselves. They have to beg to be loved. And so we're going to explore that now a bit further in this video today. Just to also caption here, in many narcissistic family systems, you may find that at one point you were the golden child and then you became the scapegoat. Sometimes we can be gaslit into believing that we're the golden child by the things our narcissistic parent says on occasion, but the way that they treat us is as the scapegoat. So just listen out now and see if any of this resonates with you, because if it does, then more than likely you have a scapegoat identity. Okay, here we go. So the scapegoat in the narcissistic family has a beggar self-image. I don't know what image comes to mind when you think of a beggar, but I see somebody in a big coat, a tatty coat, begging and for breadcrumbs by the side of the road, and people often walking past or ignoring them. So this beggar self-image begins in the family, in childhood, and it continues into adulthood for the child who is in the scapegoat role. And they will experience being the scapegoat socially, romantically, professionally, in many areas of their lives, if not all. There is an underlying begging, a begging to be included, that the scapegoat presents. There's this sort of sense of not being automatically included and almost having to beg or earn their inclusion within groups. And that's what I mean when I say begging. So in the family system, the scapegoat might be aware how their other sibling or other siblings seemingly don't have to do much or don't have to do anything to get the affection or protection or love from the narcissistic parent, but they do. They actually have to reach out. They have to be the one that reaches out to their parent. the parent doesn't automatically reach out to them like they do, like the parent does with the other siblings. Or the scapegoat has to be the one that protects the narcissistic parent rather than the other way around. The other siblings may be allowed to have angry feelings or throw toys or, be angry. And the parent doesn't seem to reject them for that. They're given the space to do it and they're loved regardless. The scapegoat child will often be aligned with or grouped with the other parent. So, for example, if you have a narcissistic mother, she'll often put down her partner, and just talk about how useless they are or devalue the partner in front of the children. But then if you're the scapegoat, what happens is your narcissistic parent, say your narcissistic mother, will then group you with that sort of rejected parent, the alienated parent within the family unit, and make you feel like you are more like that other parent than them. The scapegoat child, therefore, is rejected, often by their same-sex parent. They're made to subtly feel like they are an outsider of the group, of the cool group. So when I say that, I mean, for example, you may have a narcissistic mother who aligns her daughter with the father, so kind of subtly rejects her, but the mother embraces the brother. So they form a cool group. They're not the rejected ones. Daughter and father are the rejected ones. So scapegoat and father are the rejected ones. And so the scapegoat takes on this belief that their identity is as a rejected person, not naturally lovable, not naturally includable, not naturally like mum and the other sibling, who are sort of placing themselves on a bit of a pedestal. The scapegoat child, therefore, is betrayed. It doesn't matter what they do. They think they are included growing up. The scapegoat does think it's, that they are being included. There might be moments where the narcissistic parent does sort of include them and say something nice or, big them up a bit in some way. But actually, those moments serve then to deny the hidden reality, the hidden truth, which is that the parent is giving cues and hints of not wanting them, of not desiring them, of rejecting them. But the child can't cope with that. So the child has to suppress that feeling. They have to depress the feeling of rejection by the parent, and they have to cleave to those momentary words that might speak of the opposite, or momentary experiences of perhaps getting a little bit of inclusion. Now, this treatment, this very confusing treatment for a child, causes severe confusion. I mean, at times you may be treated as if you've done something so terribly wrong that it's worthy of being rejected or kicked out by your narcissistic parent. And the thing about this is the scapegoat hasn't done anything wrong. The scapegoat is the one that is projected onto in the family. So the narcissistic parent will have been projecting out all of their issues onto the scapegoated child, blaming them for everything. It could be they're stressed out. It could be got a headache. Oh, you've caused my headache. Um, and what happens is the scapegoated child can't sort of figure out what it's done to cause this rejection in the parent, because actually it hasn't done anything. It's a projection, but it's made to believe that I've done something wrong to cause this reaction in my parent. It's terrifying for the child. And so what ends up happening is they start grappling with going back over things, ruminating, trying to locate how you've caused mum's nausea or dad's rage or the silence or the dirty look. Did, and you're frantically trying to come up with the reason that you are to blame, because you need to find that so that you can then find the relief of finding it, of finding why you are the cause, because then you're able to go and apologize and make everything better again. And so you come to learn that if you can find somehow the reason, your part, and bring that to the other person in the relationship, then you are going to be able to come back to comfort, make things normal again. But of course, you were never to blame at all. This was your parents' bad behavior, appalling behavior. It was their lack of responsibility and lack of empathy for you, their self-centeredness, which caused you to not see that about them, to go into denial about that, and to locate the cause of the problem in you, because it gave you some power. It gave you some power to actually identify with being the scapegoat, and telling yourself you are the scapegoat, you are the problem. But it's not you. You were never the problem. It was a projection of the parent, and it was a way of training you, a way of controlling you. They needed to make you feel like you don't fit into the family, don't fit in with them, so that they can feel like they do fit in, that they're part of the core group and you're not. You can hear how childish this is, how, reminiscent of playground antics. And so the scapegoat begs, takes on that beggar role, begs for re-inclusion. Please let me back in, mummy. Please, dad. Can you not see I'm a good person? I really am. I was only trying to help, or I'm really not trying to be difficult. Please let me back in. My life depends on it as a child, and I don't want to be left alone. I don't want to be excluded. I don't want to face that reality that I am being rejected. At some point, however, later in life, there is a moment of realization, and I call it the betrayal realization, when you suddenly see how you were set up to be the dumping ground or the excluded one for no real reason. That your parent actually wasn't loving towards you, that they were rejecting. They actually did reject you. It's as if the denial suddenly lifts, and you can sit with that feeling that actually my mother, my father, they rejected me for no real reason, and that you were abused. And this is the beggar's belief bit, but there's a certain sort of disbelief that goes along with that your parent could feel so little empathy for you that they could be so selfish. It's incomprehensible to somebody who perhaps has empathy and is not narcissistic. It's hard to fathom that your own parent wanted you to be excluded and to see your pain and your shame at that, because it made them feel safer and better. And that actually all the times that you came back to apologize made them feel really good. But every time you groveled, it gave them a sense of superiority, a sense of boosting the self-esteem, a sense of power. Because secretly, they wanted your demise. It beggars belief. It beggars belief that a parent subconsciously could be enacting this with their child. And so the cycle was, you beg, you reach out for love from your narcissistic parent. You might get a little bit back and you think you're being included, but then something happens in their world and it sets them off, and then you're rejected. You're excluded from the group. And that leads you then to seek out relief by going within to find why you are the cause, and then coming back and begging for forgiveness. So being in this devastatingly vicarious and oh so lonely position growing up, where even your family are simply excluding you, including your siblings. They're doing the subtle excluding too. It's just incomprehensible. And so the child denies it. They deny it. They become blind to it. They blind themselves to it, although their gut will feel it. They will feel those feelings of rejection. They will suppress that though and depress it. And they will try to convince themselves, gaslight themselves, that no, she's just, ironed my uniform, or she's made me a cheese sandwich, or, that she does include me, she does love me. But as with all healing, at some point later in life, then those deep feelings of rejection, of non-inclusion, of not fitting in, or being made to feel like you don't fit in, need to come out. So that feeling, those feelings get suppressed and depressed, and we go into denial by clinging to the times when mum did say something nice, or did something for us, or dad spent time with us, or whatever it was. We got some semblance of maybe being pleasing or acceptable to the group, of feeling included. Now, all the suppressed loneliness and feeling rejected and not being part of the group automatically being cast as an outsider of a group, and trying to desperately to fit in, will play out in adult life. And it will play out as a repetition compulsion. What does that mean? The same patterns coming up, the same types of situations coming up. compulsively over and over again until something changes. And why is this going to happen? Well, because this scapegoat role is needing to be undenied. The being rejected by the family, by your parents, needs to be undenied at long last. It needs to be acknowledged that you were rejected. And that is the thing that many cannot get to. It takes a long time to get to that realization. I was rejected, and owning that. And at times, it can feel like you won't ever escape from being the scapegoated one because you're experiencing it in so many areas, or it can feel like even God is against you or the universe because it's happening in most of your relationships, perhaps, and work, family, socially, even on social media. People are being scapegoated all the time, cast out from the cool group, etc. However, and this is why I love psychoanalysis type work, if you are able to trust what is transpiring in your life right now, instead of trying to numb, deny, or escape from it, it will serve as the catalyst for reconnecting to and undenying the denied rejection, the scapegoating back then. And what ultimately needs to be felt is the deep, deep sadness that you couldn't convince, really, or you had to convince your own family that you were worth being included, that you were rejected. It's often the case that scapegoats will find themselves in friendship groups, believing that they don't quite fit in or match up to the others. They may always feel sort of just on the outside. They may try to fit in desperately or put on a show that they believe will make them fit in, kind of mirroring what others do in order to be accepted. Or they may exacerbate their otherness by seeking out others on the sidelines, not necessarily because they really get on with them, but just because they are also others, and making themselves sometimes unliked on purpose. They may also be prone, scapegoats may also be prone to limerent feelings and find themselves attracted to narcissistic types, those who will include for a short while, but then exclude them cruelly and devastatingly. They may find in friendship groups they try desperately to secure their place for fear of being rejected again by becoming close to one person at least and gaining their approval by being emotionally what they need. This ensures they have someone who values them. They may choose to isolate more than socialize and experience social anxiety. Scapegoats may not trust anyone, but on the same hand, they use denial to ensure they are not alone. Denial of abuse or lack of being able to trust a person. The scapegoat is the beggar for inclusion and believes this subconsciously about themselves, that they have to beg to fit in. They see themselves as the naturally rejected, embarrassing beggar who is there on the sidelines of the group, but never able to be in it completely, just for who they are. They have to beg and they have to abandon themselves and their needs and their personality and their confidence in order to be accepted. And even when they do all of this, they still end up rejected. But that beggar belief that you may carry, that is nothing more than a projection. It is not who you are. You are not here to beg from anyone. It's an identification with your narcissistic parent's story. It's not you. It's part of the training that they put you through, the brainwashing. And the healing path is to stop giving away your power to others by seeking their approval and their inclusion of you. It's to stop seeking others to make you feel included. No. We have to get to the point, firstly, of accepting the rejection and feeling it and letting it out and stopping denying it. But then we also have to stop trying to feel included by getting other people to make us feel included. We have to include ourselves. What do I mean by this? I have to acknowledge how I have accepted the scapegoat role as me, and I've been choosing to be the scapegoat. I've included the scapegoat me, in other words, but I have rejected the non-scapegoat me. I've suppressed that part of me. I haven't included her. And so now the work for me is to begin embracing the non-scapegoated part of me, because that scapegoat role is not me. The authentic me is the one I need to embrace now and welcome in. And who is that? Well, the non-scapegoated you is the one who knows they are naturally lovable, who believes that they are acceptable as they are, who loves being themselves, who fits in really well, who knows that they fit in really well. Doesn't need to, but knows that they can get along easily with anyone, who's confident, who's well-liked, who is naturally included. This is the shift we have to make from that projected identity of scapegoat. And it's not an easy road to walk, being the scapegoat, not at all. But can I tell you, the scapegoat is the one closest to freedom. The scapegoat is the one likely to be set free. And, you know, those of you who've watched previous videos of mine know that I'm a woman of faith. I come from a Christian Catholic background. I'm not practicing those anymore, but I still do love, using the Bible and things like that in my meditation. And it struck me today, the people Jesus healed were the scapegoats. They were the ones that were ready for healing. They were the ones that were set free. Not the golden children. Not the narcissists. It was the scapegoats. So there's every hope, if you are resonating with any of this, that your healing is on offer, and that you won't remain in the scapegoat role forever unless you wish to. But everything is conspiring to get you out of the denial of it. I hope this was helpful. I feel like I've gone a bit all over the shop today, but I hope it's given some insight into this very, very painful role of being the scapegoat, the bullied one. Take care, everybody, and see you soon.